Hey everybody, come on in. It's Conspiracy Theories and Chill. It's finally time again. It's Wednesday. It's time for my favorite show and your favorite too. So come on in, like and share. Get this out. Invite your friends. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk about conspiracies like we always do. And the featured topic tonight is a fun one. It's the Battle of Los Angeles. We're going to talk about that, get into that. That's going to lead us to aliens. It's going to lead us to all kinds of things and UFOs, which can take us down all kinds of other different roads. So come on in. This is a conspiracy theory show. We talk about conspiracy theories. It's all there in the title. It's very forthright and very forthcoming. I try to be that way. I try to be that way in everything that I do on these shows. But this is the conspiracy theory one. This is my baby. This one's fun. I want to hear from you. So if you're here on Facebook or YouTube and want to participate, want to be part of the show, want to take part, please comment. Take part in the show. I want to hear about your favorite conspiracies. I want to hear about what you're into. Analytic Alchemist asks, can I come on the live stream? Figured you might need a guest. I would love to have a guest. What would you like to come on about? That would be interesting. In the future, I've done that before, had interviews. We could do that, like a split screen. I don't have the capability in this particular show, but this we could do that on an episode coming up, if depending on what you wanted to get into. But that would definitely be something I'd be interested in. But this is Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Come on in. I'm going to show you a short video that I made for you on the Battle of Los Angeles. And then we're going to talk about any conspiracies you want, anything at all. So no matter where you're watching, participate, take part in the show, comment. All of that helps us do better in the algorithm and get out to more viewers. And you can only share so much before you get locked up in Facebook jail. A lot of people know what I'm talking about. But VK, a streaming service that I use, we stream this out to Russia on VK, and they don't know what that is. They don't understand. So there was a viewer on VK was talking to me today in messages and telling me that they found that fascinating that we get locked up in Facebook jail. So it's just interesting the cultural differences. But this is Conspiracy Theories and Chill, and I want to hear from you guys. So tell me what you want to talk about. But here in a minute, we're going to start the video. I made you a video. It's a 7-minute video on the Battle of Los Angeles. It's a real interesting story. I don't know if you've ever heard about it before, but we're going to kick it around in the video. And then after that, we're going to hang out. We usually hang out for about an hour and talk about anything you want, the video and anything else. So come on in, like and share. Like I said, invite your friends and settle in. And let me know what you guys want to get into. And you can give me tips after the feed, Analytic. I would appreciate that. Really, really, I would. We're doing a live stream right now. So this is live. And I do film these with the idea that they'll live on. So you can give me tips later. I'm sure I have a lot to learn from you. But right now, we're going to get on with the show and take part in that. Let me know what your favorite conspiracy theory is and what you want to get into on the show. Because we're going to hang out for about an hour, unless you're not planning on staying. But I'm going to bring in the film strip here in a minute, and we're going to get ready to play the video. That's the way this show works. And, maybe we can check out a couple of your shows and see how they work. But right now we're going to do mine. I'm going to leave that alone for now. I get caught up on hecklers. A lot of fans of this show will realize and understand that. I come from a stand-up background. The host of this show, me, by the way, I should introduce myself. I'm Sean. I'm the host of Conspiracy Theories and Chill, and I have a stand-up comedy background. That's my roots. That's where I come from. So I tend to take heckling personally, and that becomes a problem sometimes, you know, especially when you're doing live streams. But I'm going to bring in the film strip and play the little video I made for you guys. I'm excited about this one. It's on the Battle of Los Angeles. So let me bring this in. This is real unprofessional too, but we're going to fix all that moving forward. We're going to make improvements and we're going to get a little better as we go. But I made you this video. This is made by me, Sean, on the Battle of Los Angeles. So we're going to watch this together. And then afterwards, we're going to hang out and talk about this video and anything else you guys want to. So nothing's off limits. If you're here, Nissa, bring up Bigfoot. We can get into it. But I made you this video and we're going to watch it real quick. This is on the Battle of Los Angeles, and afterwards we'll hang out and talk. Ruh-roh. Did you know that the United States military once blacked out? This is a bad. I'm having technical difficulties right after I got done with that heckler, but we're going to work through it. We always do. Like I said, we get better as we go. Did you know that the United States military once blacked out an entire U.S. coastline and led a pre-dawn resistance fighting for hours against an enemy that they now say was never actually there? This is the story of the Battle of Los Angeles, an interesting and noteworthy piece of history that occurred in the United States during the height of World War II. And on this episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill, we're going to explore the whole story of the Battle of Los Angeles and look into the conspiracy that may be hidden behind the cover story of incompetence and itchy trigger fingers that has been presented to the public. Now, this event is real and took place at the pinnacle of tension and fear of an outside attack happening in this country. Only months after the attack at Pearl Harbor, it was still very fresh on everyone's mind that we could be attacked, and a Japanese submarine had also just hit an oil field the day before, so the citizens were already terrified. And the military was, of course, on high alert because the submarine was never located. Now, early in the morning on the 25th, objects were detected about 100 miles out, and a blackout was ordered of the entire coastline by the military as they prepared for an invasion. At 2:25 a.m., the people of Los Angeles were awoken by air raid sirens, and when they went outside their homes, they found that the entire city was blacked out and searchlights had filled the sky. Then the shooting started, and bombs exploded in the sky, filling the horizon with smoke, and the debris rained down on the city. Sirens filled the air, and chaos erupted on the streets as people sought shelter from the falling debris, and many tried to watch the show being displayed in the sky. More than 1,400 rounds are admitted to having been fired at what ended up being nothing at all in the official narrative. This battle went on all throughout the early morning, with searchlights scouring the sky and shells being fired. The all clear wasn't given until 7:21 a.m. In the end, 5 people were killed in the Battle of Los Angeles. Many people were injured as well, and many homes and businesses were damaged by the falling shells during the battle. But what there wasn't was any downed aircraft, because officially the military was shooting all of those rounds at nothing at all. An Army document explained what had happened. It said that numerous weather balloons had been released over the area that night, and they carried lights for tracking purposes, and that these lighted balloons were mistaken for enemy aircraft. And that shell bursts, illuminated by searchlights, were also mistaken by ground crews for enemy aircraft. And the Japanese, after the war, also declared that they had flown no airplanes over Los Angeles on that date. Now, that was the official story, and for me, when that morphed into the weather balloon explanation, that was the first big red flag. But that is now said to have been what showed up on the radar and what they were shooting at, and even what the witnesses had seen: weather balloons. Now, that immediately made me think of Roswell. You see, at first, when there were no downed craft, the military said it was all just due to jitters. It was later that the weather balloon story was added because people had seen the objects in the sky. So that's enough official story for now. This is conspiracy theories and chill after all. So what did the people report seeing in the sky during these 5 hours? Well, many reported seeing craft in the sky that the military were shooting at. Many even reported seeing these craft pass over their homes. Large and small crafts were reported, and people also reported seeing dozens of them at a time in the sky together. These kind of sightings were reported by many. The people at the time thought that these were some kind of Japanese crafts, but in hindsight, UFO experts have taken this story, and especially the witness accounts of it, and they say that the objects were flying much too high and too erratic to have been aircraft, and moved unlike balloons, even balloons that were being shot at. The witnesses say that these crafts floated and glided, but also stopped and hovered at times. But to this day, nobody can explain what these crafts were. It's a mystery that's never been resolved. As I said, officially, this is explained as an accident caused by nerves, and officially, heavy air quotes implied, there were no UFOs at all. They explain it with weather balloons and outdated faulty radar systems giving them false results. But I leave this story with many questions. The biggest is, how do you have a 5 hour attack against no enemy? Now I can see Itchy Triggerfinger explaining a few rounds being fired, but 5 hours worth of shooting at nothing? Where were the lookouts? Or the officers to stop the madness? Who was in charge? This was a large scale military operation, and no one realizes in 5 hours of shooting that they're shooting at nothing? The Battle of Los Angeles is an interesting tale, and it may very well have been nothing more than nervous gunners and checked out officers allowing a 5 hour battle against their own overworked imaginations. But it just as likely could have been something more, and more than likely there is more to the Battle of Los Angeles story. I'm a contrarian through and through, and the government doesn't have the best track record with the truth. So, as always, I think that the truth lays somewhere in the gray area. But tell me what you think of the Battle of Los Angeles in the comments below, and share in the discussion. I'd like to hear from you about what you think of this interesting story. This happened. This is true. The military had a full on battle against nothing for 5 hours in 1942. You can Google it, look it up, look into the Battle of Los Angeles. And let me know what you'd like to see covered upcoming in future conspiracy theories and chill videos, things that you'd like to see us look into. But thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time right here on Conspiracy Theories and Chill from me on Things and Stuff. Alright guys, that was the video. So that's what I spent my week doing, was researching Battle of Los Angeles to talk about it with you guys here today. So hopefully you liked that video, because it will be uploaded to the YouTube channel right after this feed. I always make this the premiere. Like, it's a weird watch party type premiere for the video that I made for you guys and for the YouTube channel. But that will be uploaded right after this video to YouTube, and I will share it to Facebook, and help me get that out. You know, Brent says, I'm glad you included the fact that it could have just been people panicking and shooting at the sky. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it even could have been the weather balloons. You know, they say they launched these weather balloons. I'm not even saying they didn't launch the weather balloons. I just presented the story, and I wanted to present both sides, and I almost backed out of covering it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I was asked to cover Battle of Los Angeles. It was something that was recommended. It's like on my list of recommendations, and I did like a little brief survey of people, what they wanted to hear covered, and people were interested in this, so I was going to go with it. But I almost backed out till I got to the weather balloon part. And then that made me think of Roswell. It made me think of other things that they've explained away with weather balloons, and it piqued my interest. So that brought me back into it. and that's why I had to include that in there. But because it wasn't their original story. Their original story was it was nerves, and they would be nervous. You understand? It's like right after Pearl Harbor. So right after the largest attack on our soil ever, and everyone's nerves are rattled. It's just months after that, and they just hit an oil field, a Japanese submarine. I touched on it in the video, but had just hit this oil field right near where this all went down. So they were expecting some kind of an attack. And thank you for the compliment. Brett said, great video. Thank you. Um, I barely finished that. I just got that done. I finished saving that like at 7:45. Like that's why we were a little bit late. We were a few minutes late tonight, and that's why. Because it's tough sometimes putting together a video in a week. You know, uh, it's a lot to do. You gotta write it all out and research it and get it together. And even though they're short, you wouldn't think that as much work goes into a 7-minute video as does goes into a 7-minute video. It's amazing. But let me know what you guys want to talk about. Maybe you have some questions about the Battle of Los Angeles. There wasn't much as far as pictures and footage. I included a lot of those pictures in the video of people holding shells and stuff like that, and the bullet holes in the car and stuff like that. Those were real pictures from the Los Angeles Times archives. That's where I got those pictures. So they were from the debris that fell down, the rounds that fell. That's what the bullet holes in the cars were. And all that shrapnel that I showed in the video, that all was debris. They were shooting at the sky for 5 hours. It's just kind of crazy, and there is such a thing as mass paranoia and mass delusions. So you do have to admit that into the discussion. Like I said, and I said in the video, I always feel like the truth lays somewhere in the gray area. I like conspiracies because there's a lot of truth in them. There are a lot of conspiracies that have a lot of truth. And Analytic, I hope you're still here. I know you're not. I had to explain why I got sidetracked. It's because of my stand-up background. So I just said that because it's what I'm used to calling people that I don't even know what I'm getting at. Sidetracked. I'm getting sidetracked again. But this is a live show, and that's the ups and downs of live. Sometimes we get gems, sometimes we get sidetracked. But let me know what you guys want to talk about, what conspiracies you want to hear about, and what you want to get into. What's on your mind? Maybe it's something happening now. Maybe it's Bigfoot, like Nissa wants us to cover Bigfoot. I am still trying to get in touch with. I got to reach out and reach out to a few people. And there's a guy I want to have on and interview, like Analytic was talking about, and interview a split screen about Bigfoot. He did a show of a friend of mine's long time ago, and I still remember the episode. So he's very interesting. It was a memorable guest, and I would like to have him if he would do my show. So I know Nissa would like that. She would be into hearing from him. But yeah, this is a conspiracy theory show, and it's very heavily audience driven. So anything you want to talk about, let me know. But the Battle of Los Angeles, I found fascinating. I found that really interesting. They like I said, explain it away with faulty radar, and these weather balloons, and that's what they were shooting at. And then the explosions in the air off the weather balloons cause reflections and the lights and this and that. So they explain it all away real pretty. But a lot of UFO people point to this as an incident that, lends truth to their movement. And they lump it in together with like the Phoenix Lights and the events that have happened in Washington, D.C., for instance, and other places. They lump it in with all those as Well, look at this that happened. So I always want to present both sides. Like there is people that believe that this was a actual event. And when you say UFOs, you don't always mean aliens. Not everybody that believes in this believes that it was UFOs. Some people believe it was holograms. That there were things in the air that they were shooting at, but they were holograms. Or they could have been some kind of other craft. There are people that believe that other types of technology exist and are tested and used and may have been used at this time. And so there's all kinds of different ways that it could go. And UFOs don't have to be aliens. They don't have to be from outer space. It's just all it means is unidentified flying object. So there's different theories on what these things could have been, and but it's just interesting. It's fascinating, and just even from the mass hysteria angle, that they could have a battle that lasts for 5 hours, where they shoot 1,400 rounds into the air, you know, for 5 hours, and no one stops it. No one realizes. You think itchy trigger finger is something that happens quick, and then an end is put to it. But this went on for a while, you know. Massive amounts of hardware were shot into the sky at nothing. I think it's fascinating. So I found it really interesting, and I'm glad Brett did too. Hopefully some other people did. But now we can get into anything you want. We've done my video. We've talked about Battle of Los Angeles. So I feel like I paid my debt as far as to the title of the video. We can get into anything. I can talk about that more depending on what you want to hear about. But Brett says psychic projection like it's our heads that are affected by this phenomenon. Psychic, are you talking about the kind that they were experimenting with in MK Ultra? You know, remote viewing and psychic projection and things like that that they were trying to experiment with in the limits of the human mind? Those kind of things. I have these little gnats. They're bugging the shit out of me. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I feel like it's obvious. You know, I have a 720p camera. You can probably see them. They're obnoxious. It's cold outside, so the bugs are trying to find their way in. I guess I don't really know, but they're so little. They're bugging the shit out of me. But let me know what you guys want to get into, because I'm not going to ask you very many more times. Psychic projection, though, that could be a lot of things. That's an interesting topic. That would be something that would be interesting to get into in a video, because then you could tie in a lot of Tesla stuff, a lot of different things, a lot of MK Ultra stuff, a lot of things where they were experimenting with different things like that. I'm saying things a lot. That's funny to me anyway. But yeah. Oh, you might have meant that this was psychic projection. Dude, that's what I'm saying. I don't ever think that I know everything, and I don't ever think that I know the whole story. It could be as simple as mass hysteria, mass nerves and weather balloons and reflections, blah blah blah. Or it could be something else. You know, they say they're 50 years ahead of us in technology. So this was 1942, so they would have technology something along the lines of 92. They could do that in 92. They could put projections in the sky, I think. So it's not outside the realms of possibility that there was something going on in the sky, because I also think that they had craft. There's evidence of some of these craft. You know, the Nazis had secret space programs. We brought a lot of their scientists over to America during Operation Paperclip for those reasons. We wanted their research. We wanted the things that they were into and the things that they had discovered and the things that they were experimenting with. I'm going to catch these things, Mr. Miyagi style. Brett says, like, whatever it is that makes folks see these lights, but like they're not in the physical world, but they can communicate through psychic abilities, etc. I'm just spitballing here, but I love thinking about the what if aspects. I do too. That's what's fun about this show, is because there is a lot of truth buried in conspiracies, and sometimes we get into talks that are just about truth, that they're conspiracy based topics or things that would be considered conspiracy or they have conspiracy in them, but they're mostly truth. This one tonight is just a fun one, like the Battle of Los Angeles. It's just for fun. And I thought it would get a conversation going where we could get into things like what Brett's talking about, or, even different versions of UFOs and what UFOs could even mean, and aliens, even. We could get into all kinds of stuff based on this topic. So I thought it was a really fun one to do. And that's basically what we do, is any conspiracy. Like I said, one day I'm going to cover Bigfoot for Nissa. I know she really wants me to. But Ray says people have killed people by accident by firing into the air. A bullet goes and has to come down somewhere. Yeah, and there was a lot of people. There were 5 people killed. 2 died of heart attacks, but 3 were killed as a result of debris from the air and explosions. And then there were a lot of people injured. Like, I didn't realize how many active people, or people that are activated rather, when there is an air raid. But it was something like 12,000 people were scouring the city, making sure everyone's lights were off. And hundreds of them got injured rather, doing that, attempting to get everyone's lights shut off and to black out the city. I didn't realize how much work went into something like that. But I guess you would think it has to be. I just never thought of it before. Like, I never thought of what goes into blacking out a city. But apparently it was 12,000, I think, people on the ground working to black out LA. Well, the whole coastline, really. But Steve says, I think they saw something that set them off. I live in Los Angeles. The gunnery sites are still there on the coast. I know. I almost included pictures of them. He says museums. I find the UFO sightings at the American nuclear base in England more interesting in the 50s. That would be interesting to cover, because I want to cover more of UFO stuff and more stuff like that, because it's fun, it's interesting, and I think there's different ways of looking at it, you know, because I don't follow into a lot of the outer space stuff, and Steve knows this, but I can still be into UFOs. I can look at it from different angles, and that's fun. And that's one of the things that's fun about this show, and why I like the conspiracy theory angle of it, even though we do discuss truth sometimes, is that we can discuss fun topics too and have a lot of fun and just be interesting at the same time. Analytics says essentially the Lucis Trust is an openly Luciferian and occult organization that massively influences the United Nations and has ties to CERN. I just recently did a conspiracy theories on Chill on Lucis Trust. If you would want to talk about that, I'd be very interested in hearing more about Lucis Trust. Oh yeah, go in depth now if you'd like. But I just did a short video, a mini doc. That's what I call them. They're just little videos, like the one I did tonight, and it was on Lucius Trust. And he's right. They are openly Luciferian. They run out of the United Nations, and it is fascinating. And check out my video on it while you're here on YouTube. It's in our recent uploads, so check it out. And come to YouTube, me on things and stuff. If you're watching on Facebook, check us out on YouTube. And all our videos are on YouTube. So if you like conspiracy theories and chill, every conspiracy theories and chill is on the YouTube channel. So come over there and check them out. But we can get into anything you want, and we can get into the Luciferian stuff and Lucius Trust more if you guys want to, because it's still fresh in my mind. I covered it recently, and I could have gone deeper. There was a lot there. It's very interesting. But if you would like to come on sometime and talk about Lucius Trust, I would definitely be interested in that. Because I think people need to be aware that this stuff is going on, that these Luciferian organizations are so entrenched in power across the board. A lot of these secret societies are also openly Luciferian or have Luciferian agendas and beliefs. You know, most of them actually. So this is what is in power over us. If you boil it all the way down, These people are all part of these groups and secret societies, and it's all intertwined. That's what lords over us, and their agenda is Luciferian. And I see Satanists all the time talk about, well, there's not denominations of Satanists, and we're about peace, and look at our commandments, and we have a coloring book, and all of that. We're not talking about you. These people are Luciferians. It's different. It's a different thing. They have a different belief system, and they worship demons. It's real. Look up Bohemian Grove. I'm not making it up. It's real. Look up Lucius Trust. It's real. I prefer that you watch my video on it, just because it has a soft spot in my heart. Steve says, have you seen Joe Rogan's shows with the guy that claims he worked at Area 51 on alien crafts? No, I have not. That sounds very interesting, though. I would be interested in seeing that. I'm going to look it up after this because that does sound good. But let me know anything you guys want to get into. This is the part of the show where we can talk about anything. Tonight's video was on Battle of Los Angeles, so that's kind of fresh on my mind. But Lucius Trust is too. Analytic is if you're still here and you want to get into more Lucius Trust, we could talk about that. We can get into that stuff. They have a heavy presence at the UN even. But we can get into just about anything you want, any conspiracy at all. We usually get a lot more comments, but we've been getting some pretty active comments. There's some people here on Facebook, but I also have a watch party going, and for anybody in it, if it's still going, I sincerely apologize, but I am not seeing your comments, and I'm able to look at it. It looks like it's still going, but I've seen people come in and go, but it looks like there's even people here right now. It's just I don't see any comments. And that's just strange because usually there are. But participate, take part in the show. Let me know what you want to talk about. We usually do an hour. So if you want to talk more about Battle of Los Angeles, let me know. Or if you want to talk about something else, let me know. Maybe something going on right now or anything at all. Your favorite conspiracy. Mine's 9/11. If you wanted to get into 9/11, I could kick 9/11 around anytime, as long as you want. Another one I like a lot is the moon landing stuff, but Steve doesn't like that. It's not real popular with a lot of people because my beliefs on outer space, they tend to lose people sometimes. But that's another thing about this show. We're open-minded. We accept other beliefs, and I cover things that I don't agree with. I've done it before. I'll do it again. Like I might cover Steve's theory that my hero, Bill Hicks, transformed into Alex Jones. I don't want to cover it, but I will if there's interest in it. Please let there be no interest in it. It's impossible. But I would still cover it. I feel like it's as impossible as Steve does, like about maybe the moon stuff. It probably frustrates me as much. Hey, Kilo, welcome to the show. Kilo's a regular at the Daily Burn. That's my political show. This is Conspiracy Theories and Chill. This is the fun one. We talk about conspiracy theories. We just kick around anything at all. So whatever is your favorite. What's your favorite conspiracy theory? What do you like the most? What's your favorite one? The one that excites you? Let me know and we'll get into it. But I'm going to look up those episodes of Rogan's show. I like the Rogan podcast. I'm a big fan of the Rogan podcast. I've learned a lot by watching him and following Joe. He's very good. He's a very good interviewer. Surprisingly. I don't know why I have to add that in. That's kind of shitty, isn't it? But it's a cool show. It's a very good show. So he's a very talented guy, Joe Rogan. Have you ever seen his martial arts stuff? He's extremely talented. But let me know what you guys want to get into, like the Luciferian stuff. We could talk about that. Skull and Bones. I mentioned these secret societies. We recently covered Skull and Bones, and we could cover Skull and Bones again. The Titanic thing, that's one of my favorites too, and it's the most popular video on my YouTube channel is the Titanic swap conspiracy. Uh, it does really well. It still gets like 60 views a day, and it bothers me because it's one of the first videos I ever did, so it's littered with mistakes. And when I watch it, I cringe, and I want to redo it because I think I could do a better job now, but I don't know. Lightning doesn't strike twice. So that one has like 50,000 views, which is phenomenal for my channel. We're still just a growing channel. So that's really good. And I don't know that I even want to mess with it. But what he's talking about is I believe that the ship at the bottom of the ocean is actually the Olympic. That the Titanic and the Olympic were swapped in port, and the Olympic sank to the bottom of the ocean. I think that for a lot of reasons, and I include those in the Titanic swap conspiracy video on the YouTube channel. Please check it out. But we can go into it here if you want. There was a lot of reasons insurance wise and with damage being done to the Olympic, and a lot of other reasons, and there's a lot of corroborating evidence. So it's interesting, and it would be something I'd like to cover again. But the life on Mars thing, that is an interesting conspiracy. Well, what would you call that? Theory that there was once life on Mars. I don't really know what you would call it. I don't know if that falls under conspiratorial, but it is interesting, and that the possibility of it in the future even is interesting. I find that stuff fascinating, even though I don't believe it's possible. I have to say, I don't know why, because I'm stubborn, I guess. I have to interject that I don't think it's possible, but I find it fascinating still, even though, you know, but that would be very neat that the stuff that they show, like the Mars rover, for instance. Like, I don't believe that there's really a Mars rover sending images of Mars back to Earth, but that's not popular belief. A lot of people do believe that, and I understand why you do. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of reasons for why I don't, and those need to be acknowledged too. Like, because without acknowledging the problems with NASA, yeah, how can you move forward? How can you have any progress and have any middle ground if you won't seek any middle ground? If you won't at least admit there's reasons to have problems with NASA. So Keela says, I possibly might be related to the captain of the Olympic. Doubt it, but we share the same name. Family origin originally came from that area. Really? You mean the Olympic, the captain of the Olympic? Because the Olympic lived on. Titanic sinks. Everybody knows that. But the Olympic lived on for a long time. So the captain then, or the captain when they had its accidents? Um, and the face on Mars is very interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff about Mars, and there's pyramids on Mars. That's interesting too. I've almost got that Gaia channel. They've almost got me into getting it, the ads for that Gaia channel, because they talk about that stuff a lot on there. And I was like, I think it'd be fascinating to follow it and learn more about that stuff. But I don't trust or have much trust in anything that comes out of NASA. And I never have. And I don't think there's much reason to. But I have my own reasons for that. And we can get into that if you want. We can talk about that more if you want. But Kilo says he was the first administrative captain before Smith on Titanic, then was switched over to the Olympic. Oh, okay. Right on. That's cool. That's an interesting piece of history. That's interesting. You have a cool little story. I don't have a lot of cool stories like that. I don't know of any famous people that I'm related to in any way, but maybe someday I'll be that person for somebody else. Hey, Christopher, good to see you. But take part in the show. Let me know what you want to talk about. Anything at all. We can get into anything at all. We talked about the Battle of Los Angeles tonight. That was what the focus was on the story, the main video, the feature video. But we got into a little bit of everything as we always do. That's what this show is. We just hang out, talk conspiracies. It's my favorite thing. So I created a show around it, and it's something that's fun for me to do, and hopefully you guys dig it and enjoy it, and it grows, and people start supporting us. There are ways in the description to support our shows. You know, I'm doing these professionally now. Hey Jeff, you can support us if you want to, and I would really appreciate that. But thanks for watching it, and sharing it and participating. But let me know what you guys want to talk about. Kilo says you doubt you're related, but don't know. Need to do more checking. Yeah, but be careful how much checking you do. Don't do none of that genealogy stuff and start giving your DNA to anybody. I would just check online as much as you can. But Steve says the guy's name is Bob Lazar on Joe Rogan. Google them. Fascinating. I've heard of Bob Lazar. Yeah, Chris, I've been doing good. I hope you have been too. But yeah, I've heard of that. I need to look that up. I'm going to. I'm going to look that up afterwards. That gives me some homework to do, which I have a ton of. There's a lot of interesting stuff. There's a lady that wants me to do some GMO stuff. Very in depth though. Like you really got to look and look and look into that stuff, and I don't want to cover it half-ass. So that's on down the line. That's in the future. But I'm going to look up this Bob Lazar stuff on Joe Rogan. That sounds interesting. You have looked it up? Christopher says I have, or you have been good. Could be either one. Hopefully it's the latter. Hopefully it's you've been good. But yeah, Kilo, no DNA. Do not do that. That stuff's crazy. Can you believe people do that? Give their DNA over to a company, and of course they sell it. Of course they do. Ugh, that's ridiculous. I can't believe people do that stuff. People are so naive and they'll do anything for little novelty stuff. That just goes to show that we're ridiculously stupid as a group. Society is doomed. When you really think about it, you gotta really just sometimes worry that, oh my God, there might not be any hope for us. But what we do is just share the truth and try to wake people up. There's a mass awakening happening, and that's what this show is for, is to make a fun way to get people woke up and involved and awake and aware and participating in stuff by giving them an in. Sometimes somebody you only just gotta plant a seed. There's truth in a lot of conspiracies. Tonight's was a fun one. Tonight's was just a fun story, but there's truth in it maybe. There's truth in there somewhere. You can always find truth if you just dig for it. That's unfortunately the situation we're in. We're in the information age. We all have a computer in our pocket. We're basically cyborgs, but you gotta search for the truth. You gotta search it out and then, support it when you find it and protect it and do all you can to make sure that we keep it around because they're trying to get rid of it. They're trying to eliminate the truth in real time. It's kind of scary. But the Titanic thing, what do you guys think? There's a good group here now. Should I remake that video? I'm going to do a little poll of everyone here. Yes or no answer. Just say yes or no. Should I remake that video and retell the story of the Olympic swap, the Titanic swap? But Christopher said even your doctor would sell it. You know, it's disgusting what goes on in this world. It really is. And like when I interviewed um, I interviewed that lady recently. I went blank on the name. It happens to me sometimes. No offense intended, but it'll come to me. But I interviewed her about vaccines, and she was a lot more of an expert on the topic than I am. And the information was so disturbing. It was troubling. The stuff that she told me that goes on, and and the stuff that's in vaccines, for example, it's disturbing. A lot of things are in this world today, like in the drinking water, even. There's fluoride and different chemicals, drugs, even in our water. But so Kilo votes yes on the remake. So far, we have one vote for yes, and we'll see if we get any more yes votes on that. So anybody that says yes or no from this point on, I'm gonna think that you're voting on whether or not we remake the Titanic video. So vote yes for yes and no for no, and then I'll know what you want me to do. But I've been dying to remake it. I just don't know that lightning strikes twice. You know what I mean? Like maybe I should leave it alone. Like it's doing decent for my channel. It's doing great. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. But anything you guys want to see covered on a future conspiracy theories and chill, let me know that too. Because I'm always looking for topics to cover. Like a matter of fact, I haven't picked out next week's topic yet. I have some things written down. We can kick those around if you want and see what maybe you'd like to see gone into a little deeper. But let me know anything you guys want to talk about and we'll get into it. But there's some people here on Facebook. Let me know what you want to. Titanic was good, you think, the way it is? So Steve's voting no, I think. Christopher says it's scary. The state of the world. It's scary. We live in the age of deceit, in a time where evil has control over literally everything. And they have control over information. They have control over the entertainment industry. They have control over the music industry. That was the recommended topic today by a friend of mine, Josh. He was saying that I should cover that, the Illuminati in Hollywood and music. That would be very interesting, and we could go way into that because that is a fact. It's not even a conspiracy, but it would be considered one. You know, People think you have to be crazy to talk about that, but it's true and it's real. And a lot of these entertainers and these musicians, they talk about it too. Are they all crazy? So James votes yes too. So far, two votes for yes to remake the Titanic video. And it's not like I would take the other one down. You know, I don't ever do that. I leave up all the videos, even the ones, there's a lot of them that I think I should remake. There's a lot of them that I should remake just because I have a better microphone now and it's less torturous to listen to me talk. A lot of these old videos are tinny and just offensive to your ears. And that's another problem with the Titanic video is I hadn't mastered audio, which I haven't mastered it yet, but we're getting better. We're at least a lot better than we were then when we first started out. But Brett says information itself has been corrupted. Yeah, in a lot of ways. That's why I'm saying truth is always somewhere in the gray area. That's why it's scary. Like the CEO of Google says he wants there to be a time when you do a Google search, you only get one result. Only one thing comes back in a Google search, that there should be only one answer to your question. Well, that's not true usually. And usually you want to see different perspectives, different points of view, and to find the truth, because everybody's going to paint it their own way. James says you didn't get a notice. Man, I've been throttled on every platform. Facebook, YouTube. I got shut down on Twitter for a while. I got shut down on Periscope for a little while. I don't even try on Periscope anymore. I started streaming to VK. We're doing okay over there. And I actually had a couple people reach out to me. And it's interesting because I only have about 40 friends on VK. But we're streaming tonight to VK. So if you're here on VK, thank you. And thanks for sharing if you did. And help me grow on VK and tell me what you want to see covered if you like this show. But VK's a Russian streaming service, like well, not a streaming service. They're like a Facebook, like a social media platform. I started streaming there. Steve said Claudia Stauber did a good video of melting snow in Vermont and having the water analyzed. It was full of heavy metals. She's all about chemtrails. I saw that, and I was gonna watch that. Her snow. That looked interesting. I'll look that up too. I used to watch her. I used to watch her, um, but I kind of stopped, and it was for political reasons mostly. But I just kind of stopped watching her. I'm not mad at her or nothing, so I would definitely watch it. I was interested, and it would be interesting to watch. What do you guys think of chemtrails, by the way? Like, I think that they do use geoengineering. I think they do spraying in the air, and I think they're open about that they are wanting to do it, or and if they're telling you they're wanting to do it, they're probably already doing it. Block out the sun with aerosol sprays. So I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility of things that could be being done. But I also don't think every trail behind a plane is a chemtrail. You know, some of these are weird though. Like I don't understand them, like the clouds that stay all day. I do have questions about things. But again, I'm not an expert, I'm not a scientist. I'm just telling you they used to talk about it openly that they did it. You know, they used to call it different things like cloud seeding and geoengineering, and they used to talk about it that they sprayed in the sky. But I don't know much about it. I would like to have someone on that could maybe shine some light and be more of an expert. And then Christopher, the Verichip thing, I would love to talk to somebody about that. Christopher's pet project is, or not pet project, but one of his favorite things to talk about conspiracy wise is RFID. Um, that's what most people know it as, but Christopher's talking about it as the Verichip because he has an interesting theory or an interesting point of view on the RFID or the Verichip that it's already in us, that there's nothing can be done about it. We already have it, and that it's already been put into us and in play. So that would be interesting. I would love to learn more about that. Maybe you could share with me some links, Christopher. I would appreciate it on how I could learn more about those theories, or if they're your own, share them with me. But they're interesting. He's tried to tell me before, and I want to hear more about it because I've been learning more about other dimensions, and I've been trying to learn more about the simulation theory, and so I could cover that and get into that and conspiracy theories and chill, because I think that's really interesting. That's fascinating. The simulation theory, and a lot of people, a lot of really smart people are saying that it's the most likely situation. The most likely scenario is that we live in a computer simulation. So I find that fascinating and would be interested in covering that in an upcoming episode. So I've been looking into that. Steve says, "Have you researched Timothy McVeigh? Sketchy as Fouquet." And no, not as much as I want to, because I almost went down that road right after Ruby Ridge video, because it ties into that. That's one of the things that he says inspired him to do what he did, is the incident at Ruby Ridge, and which is a recent episode that we did of conspiracy theories and chills. So I almost went down that road, and then I got sidetracked and I got onto other stuff. So I got to get back around to that, but I want to because I want to cover that him himself, and I want to cover the Oklahoma City building bombing. I want to cover that incident, and but also him. Focus mostly on him. So yeah, that's something I have to get back around to. Right now, I'm stuck on the simulation stuff and the alternate realities and parallel universes and things like that, and that is just a deep rabbit hole. Once you start tripping down that one, you're gonna get lost. James says they're not healthy. Chemtrails? Kilo says, I know there was a program for spraying years ago. Honestly, I don't know enough about it today. I kind of lay somewhere in that area too. Like, I know it's something that they were open about doing in the past, and they are, I've seen it where they're open about even at least wanting to do it again. So, again, I don't know. I'm a contrarian. I don't ever believe that I know everything about the situation and that I'm being told the truth. My favorite quote is a William Cooper quote where it's listen to everything, believe nothing. Like take it in, but judge it for yourself. Like, weigh it out for yourself. Think about it for yourself. Analyze it for yourself. Like come to your own truth. And I don't know what salopism is, Brett. You're smarter than me. It's a big word. You scare me with these big words. I've heard it before though. I'll give you that. It's a word I've seen before, and I bet it's interesting, but I don't know what it is. So I can't go any further with you. Christopher says more like neck, legs, around the eyes, and hands. Oh, okay. There must be talking about something. I hate when that happens because then I can't see what I'm actually following there. But James says nanites in the spray. That's what Christopher's talking about. Christopher's theory or thoughts, if I'm correct and remembering right, go along that route that we've already got it in us, that we've already been exposed and it's in place already. And I would like to hear more about it. And maybe James can tell me more about it. Maybe James can share some links and hook me up with some information because I would love to learn. I'm always wanting to learn, and then I share it here. So that's what I do is just regurgitate what I learn with you guys here. But I love being pointed in different interesting directions because conspiracies is one of my favorite things. Enough to where I started my own little show about conspiracies. But okay, Brett told me what it is. Solipsism, I can't even say it, is the concept of the matrix that we are just brains in vats and nothing that we perceive is real. Oh, wow. So that's what it's called. Yeah, it's weird. I've been looking at a lot of different views on it. The the matrix theory or whatever you would call it. It's fascinating. And I don't want it to be true. I know that. It's one of those that I look at it and I'm like, wow, this is neat. And a lot of it's going right over my head because a lot of it's this complicated science and all this stuff that's really deep. And a lot of it's complicated math as well. And I'm just like taking their word for it at times and just sitting there the whole time going, please, I don't want this to make sense. Like, I don't want this to be true. I don't want it. When I'm a video game, I'm a simulation, then what matters? Does anything matter? Like, you ever wonder, like, are these the thoughts that go through? I almost said something extremely dark. I don't want to go that direction. But that's just a very dark thought for me that we live in a computer game, that we're just playing out a simulated existence and none of it has any value or meaning. And maybe there's other ways of looking at it than that. But to me, that would be weird. That would be, I can't find value in that. I can't find meaning in that, so I don't want it to be true. But maybe there is just chaos because it can't all just be random. Like, I believe in God and I happen to be Christian, but there's too much. It can't all just be random. Reality and existence and all of this. It just, I don't believe that. So I would be more inclined to believe the simulation theory than I would to believe in, just the atheism view of like the Big Bang, like nothing exploded and created everything, and then everything happened by chance and millions of coincidences all just fell into place, and that's how everything became what it is today. And it's just chaos, and it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Who knows who's right? Again, probably somewhere in the middle. But I don't know. I entertain all kinds of beliefs and I don't judge anyone for having different beliefs. And I think it's fun to learn from different people. And I would be open to things that I don't even believe in. So Brett says it's very sociopathic. Solapism? Concept of the. What is sociopathic? I don't want to assume. You could be talking about solapism, or you could be talking about. I don't do it often, but I dropped my beliefs in there in the last little rant segment I did. So you may be talking about that. But we're going to wrap up pretty soon. This has been Conspiracy Theories and Chill. We do this every Wednesday at 8. And like I said, I don't have a topic for next week yet. So anything you guys want to see us get into, let me know. Yes, I would. I would love that. That'd be cool. A friendly debate would be awesome. Any chance to get my name out, and I hope it's about religion. I don't know if that's what piqued your interest in a debate, but I hope it is because I'm dying to do that. I've been waiting for a mutual friend of ours to ask me, and he just never has. So I just thought maybe he wasn't interested because I'm not any kind of expert, but I would be interested in a debate on most any topic. But I'm kind of hoping you're talking about the one I dropped. Steve says in quantum physics, the cat in the box is both dead and alive at the same time. You only know when you open the box. Yeah. Oh, on solapism? Okay, still, I would definitely, yes, yes. So, but I've been wanting Robert, I'll go ahead and say it, Robert from Right to Reason, to ask me to debate on my religious views because I think that's an interesting way of doing it. I don't put much stock in the Bible. I'm not a Bible expert. I don't go to church every Sunday, but I'm still very religious. I still feel like I have a strong faith system, and I don't think that ever gets addressed. I think I represent most people. I think most people fall more in line with where I sit, but it never gets addressed. So I thought it would be interesting. No one else does though. It's probably one of those interesting things that is interesting to me, but just me. Because I wouldn't bring much of value to the conversation because I couldn't quote Bible verses and stuff. I don't have that ability. But Brent says he'll talk to Robert. Yeah, the more I'm talking out to myself though, I'm realizing I wouldn't be very interesting because I can't quote scripture, you know. But I would definitely talk about the solapism thing. I can't say that word. I got to learn that word before we do this. But that would be interesting. I'd be into that. But this is Conspiracy Theories and Chill, and we'll be back again next week at 8 on Wednesday with a topic. I don't know what it's going to be yet, though. So tell me what you want to get into and what you'd like to see. And maybe that'll be next week's topic. But thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for participating in the show. And I will see you guys next time.